Here's my outlook on XCN in 2025, even though nothing I say is financial advice. The idea of 25 cents, I'm still thinking about that. When it comes to XCN, maybe let's say there is a fully fledged type of altcoin season during this cycle, but there's actually something else that I'm very excited about. Maybe, because I think if Onyx is able to achieve this, it could very well, I think, arguably be the biggest thing they've achieved maybe so far. Now, what do I mean by this? I'm not talking about the price, I'm talking about maybe the launch of the Goliath testnet, which is supposedly gonna happen in less than 30 days. Which I think if they again could do that, that would be a major victory fundamentally. Because we have to take a look at this. When XCN first had that kind of most recent rally, right? What was the thing that really made it, I think, kind of, pop off? I don't think it was really the fundamentals. I don't think it was really anything going on with Onyx. It was just kind of the idea of maybe it was viewed as somewhat this miniature version of XRP and XLM. I think that was kind of the main reason. However, it still even did that without really much anticipation over it fundamentally, and at the same time, it wasn't arguably even a fully fledged type of altcoin season. So if let's say there is a fully fledged type of altcoin season, and then Onyx can actually successfully launch the Goliath testnet, that would be a pretty big victory, I think, arguably. We'll have to wait and see what happens to the price at that point. Only time will tell, but I think Goliath could be a total game changer, not for the space overall, but just for Onyx in and of itself, because having a layer 1 blockchain for the world of finance is nothing really new, right? It's not like it's reinventing the wheel, so to speak, but it would be a pretty big victory for something like Onyx, which again, fundamentally, historically speaking, I think could be argued as somewhat being lackluster in terms of what it's able to really do. Now, I think this would be a good stepping stone moving forward. So I'm really excited with this. And this is kind of combined with kind of the anticipation over what the Onyx wallet could be. Moving forward, I'll have to wait and see when it comes to that as well. But I think kind of having these, sort of anticipated things to look forward to when it comes to Onyx, it's something that I'm very excited about because, again, now there's more substance to the project when compared to before. Now, if the testnet was supposed to launch in 2027, it's like, that's just way too long. But because they're planning to launch it in this year, right? Before the end of this year, I should say. Again, hypothetically, less than 30 days from right now, less than a month. I think that is pretty cool. And also on top of that, what I find about Onyx is that the team is actually picking up the pace, I feel like. Because when it comes to something like other projects out there, they say, we're going to do this in 3 years from right now. It's kind of too long, in my opinion. Like, that's a lot, I think, when it comes to this space. Like, a lot of projects can pop up by then. There's could be, many competitors that could pop up. I like the speed in which Onyx is doing things. It doesn't seem like it's prolonged for no reason. Other projects out there, they keep saying, oh, we're going to do this in 2 years, in 3 years. It's a little bit too long. So I do like this when it comes to Onyx. And also, what I like is that they even have a timeline for Goliath in terms of the mainnet. Now, the mainnet is supposed to happen allegedly in Q1 of next year, but then I don't think it's necessarily such a bad thing because if, let's say, the cycle is prolonged until, Q1 of next year, it could also be a pretty good catalyst as well, I think, for the project overall. But again, only time will tell. Now, Onyx is focused on a market, or should I say markets, plural, that have been kind of already proven historically speaking. Let me explain what I mean by this. Ripple and Stellar, what markets are they heavily focused on? Payments and global trade and finance. That's pretty much exactly what Onyx is also heavily focused on. The payments market currently, by the way, is valued at over $2 trillion. For the people out there that say that AI has a lot of hype and all this, I'm totally aware of that, but keep in mind, the AI market is expected to be worth nearly $2 trillion by 2030, according to Grandview Research. Whereas, again, the payments market is already valued at over $2 trillion currently. So, it doesn't have to wait another 5 years, arguably. And also, we take a look at the global trade and finance market, which is predicted to reach up to $5 trillion in value by 2028, according to Mordor Intelligence. So when I take a look at something like that, Onyx, I would arguably say, is focused on the correct niches. Not to mention as well, what I find pretty interesting when it comes to something like Onyx is that it is focused on these markets, but then there's really not that many competitors beyond like Ripple and Stellar. Let me explain why. Of course, I wouldn't even really consider Ripple and Stellar kind of a competitor to this, but it is focused on the same market. But even besides that, let's say we remove those two, what is really competing with Onyx in the grand scheme of things that are kind of near its popularity level? Of course, we take a look at Zebec, right? We take a look at XPR, we take a look at Swiftcoin, we take a look at XDC. But that's not that many. That's arguably 4 beyond Onyx that a lot of people kind of talk about. It's not like there's 20 or 30 like in some other sectors, or should I say, kind of market niches, like for instance, NFTs, let's say blockchain gaming, let's say in the case of decentralized finance, or should I say DeFi. I mean, there's a lot. But then in this case, there's actually not that many. So I find that very unique and pretty interesting when it comes to Onyx. Now, when I take a look at maybe the idea of 25 cents, around a 23x from here and market cap at that point, considering current circulating supply would be around 8.7 billion. I just don't find this as such a ridiculous market cap. Now, if XCN needed like a market cap of like 100 billion or something to achieve that, I mean, I would not even want to believe in that to begin with, maybe, right? Or should I say even have that mindset. However, that market cap, keep in mind, wasn't even like 5% of what XRP reached in terms of market cap not too long ago. Like, for instance, we saw XRP not too long ago reach a market cap around 200 billion. Let's say for simplicity's sake, 200 billion. Like, again, 8.7 billion is not even 5% of that, right? Like, I'm not necessarily saying that when it comes to XCN, it's going to be more popular than that, but XRP achieved that really. And I think maybe a lot of people, or at least should I say some of my friends, wouldn't even consider when XRP reached that to be a point in time where there was a fully fledged type of altcoin season. So again, if I kind of consider the amount of competitors of Onyx, when I consider how it's pretty much focused on the same markets as Ripple and Stellar, being able to achieve maybe a glimpse of what XRP reached not too long ago, despite not being a fully fledged type of altcoin season, it wouldn't surprise me in an event where maybe, again, there is this sort of like, altcoin season during this cycle, but only time will tell. And again, what I find about XCN was that it was pretty interesting to see that it was able to achieve a moment of brilliance not too long ago without really much bullish factors going on. So I do like what I'm seeing when it comes to XCN, but again, only time will tell. Now, ultimately though, the only thing I can do in this situation is just wait, because like the first time when I first talked about XCN, I was not able to know the perfect moment XCN was going to do what it did, like, in terms of the rally. Like, that is beyond my control. Like, I cannot control XCN to do this or do that. I can't do that. The only thing I can do is just wait and stay patient and just prepare. That's it. It's like, let's say I am training to be a marathon runner. Like, maybe I don't run a marathon every day, but if let's say there was a moment that I can run a marathon, then maybe I'll be prepared, right? If I am training. I've never ran a marathon, by the way, but I'm just saying, like, it is just something that, the way I take a look at an analogy when it comes to this. So when I take a look at something like Onyx, again, I'm just staying patient, holding and just waiting, because whenever this altcoin space, or let's say XCN, decides to have that next leg up, be it, let's say October, November, December, or sometime around Q1 of next year, again, that is going to be beyond my control, but I can only control myself, so I'm just going to stay patient, dollar cost average, hold, and I just wait. That's it. I'm not telling anyone to do anything when it comes to XCN, but this is just my outlook when it comes to this. So I'm still excited when it comes to XCN in 2025, but only time will tell. And feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. It's Molly the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.